Welcome into the Point After with Mitch Kaiser. I am your host, Mitch Kaiser. Today, happy Monday. We are back with another edition of Mock Draft Monday. Today, we got draft analyst Sam Monson from the 33rd team. Sam, how you doing, man?
Doing good, Mitch. How about you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. It's been about a month since we've spoke. I know we talked last at the Combine. Good to have you on again, get you a full episode here. I know you were just kind of learning the draft class then. You got your eyes on a lot more. Any names you've kind of like come around on or guys who are really sticking out to you from a month ago? I know Ruben Bain was kind of your guy at the first day. Any guys that really catch your name, maybe some smaller prospects before we get into the first round mock?
Yeah, still working my way through the class, but definitely got a lot better feel for it now than I did when we spoke at the Combine. I like quite a lot of the guys from this class. I think maybe the kind of level of it overall is being talked down a bit too much. I think there's some really good players in this draft. I think Mansour Delane is as good a cornerback prospect as we've seen come along, for a while, for a number of years. I think he belongs right up there at the sharp end of this draft. In terms of much lower down guys, I like some of the wide receivers in the mid rounds. I really love Jeremy Bernard, the Alabama receiver. I think he's a really interesting
Underrated
guy because
sure.
That type of receiver, people talk about those guys going in the first round. And I'm like, in the first round, I don't love it. But when you start talking about him in day 2 and day 3, he's just awesome. He's going to make your receiving core better. Maybe he's got a level, but he's going to upgrade everybody.
He's so consistent and he has such a high floor in the league that it feels like he's going to be a great team's third wide receiver, like you said, and just make plays in the open field, whatever he can do. I'm with you. Everyone thought Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard had the better season than Ryan Williams, but we still talk about Ryan Williams from Bama because the pro prospect and the level of athleticism he is. But you're probably going to have a 10-year career out of a guy like Jeremy Bernard, but he might just not have the ceiling that other prospects have. I'm totally with you.
And he was the guy. Was the guy getting all the gimmick touches as well. They were designing the offense around him like he was the 5-star, like he was the super recruit, not Ryan Williams.
Well, it's because Ryan Williams can't hold on to the football and ends up dropping a lot of balls. So Jeremy Bernard's got great hands. I don't know how many official drops he had, but way less than Williams. So all right, last thing I want to ask you real quick before we get into this pick. You're going to take the odds. I'm going to take evens. We know Mendoza is going to be your Raiders pick. You're not going Ty Simpson like Dan Orlovsky here. I want to ask you on that.
No, because I'm not rep by CAA. So
you're not going to cut out of it. Yeah.
Look, I don't think it's that crazy. I don't agree. I think Mendoza's the better prospect, but they're almost opposite types of prospects. So the things that Mendoza, if you don't like his negatives, right? We were talking to Greg Cosell on our show, and he's like, look, this is someone that doesn't go through full field progressions. It is a lot of half field reads, RPO type stuff in that offense. And he has a tendency to kind of drop out of the pocket, backwards and run around negatively and kind of go horizontal and get himself into trouble. Those are, reasonable negatives. And those are the things that, well, particularly the full field read stuff doesn't apply to Simpson. He gives legitimate full field reads, works through a progression 1 to 2 to 3 to check down to the running back. So if that's something that really bothers you about Mendoza, you're also probably going to gravitate towards Simpson. So I don't really have any trouble believing that there are people out there that have Ty Simpson as QB1 in this draft class, because if you do like Simpson, you probably don't like those elements of Mendoza's game and vice versa. But I think it's also true to say that most people won't see it that way. Most people will have Mendoza QB1, but I don't have any trouble believing there are people out there that will look at it and go, Simpson's the guy for me.
Yeah, it's funny. It's absolutely not a crazy take. I almost think the way Dan presented it was what riled people
into trouble
more versus
the more he talked about it. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, yeah. Because midway through the college football season, I was all in on Ty Simpson as QB1, and I was kind of he's the one popping off the screen to me. He's the one lighting it up through the air. That was before the playoff where Mendoza really hit his stride and dominated against the big games that Orlovsky said were not that big of games apparently. But the playoff was that performance pretty much sealed the deal for me, and that was all I need to see against the best competition. But it's not to say I don't like Ty Simpson and don't think he can't be a franchise quarterback as well. It's just I'm not taking him second or third overall in this class. So that's where it is. So, all right, but let's get into it now. Let me get the PFF mock draft simulator up. All right, cool. Can you see it now, Sam? All right, sweet. All right, we're going to enter the draft, and Sam is on the clock with the first pick. I assume no drama here. Just going to go Mendoza?
Yeah, we're doing the chalky Mendoza pick.
Lock it in. Yeah, there we go. No, I think it is funny because, like, do you think there's no possibility of a late push that could switch to Simpson, right? Even though I know Orlovsky's not saying – he wasn't petitioning for Simpson at 1. Right. He was more saying, like, I'd rather have him later in the draft than Mendoza at 1. What are your thoughts on Mendoza at 1 versus other number 1 overall prospects, I guess?
I think he's a good, not a great, number 1 prospect. Like, there were definitely years where Mendoza wouldn't be QB1 in the draft class, wouldn't be the top prospect. But this year, and not even this year, but like overall, take a sample size of like 15, 20 years, I think he's fine. He's in the middle somewhere, right? Like, he's big, he's strong, he's got way more size than I think people give him credit for. Like, one of the things that popped was the combine, and like Mendoza was 236. Like, what? 236 is huge. 236 is like 6 pounds.
He's close to Josh Allen's size. I said that during the college season that he's like kind of built similar to Josh Allen. I wasn't comping him to that, but like in terms of like pro style, like their size, like
236 is like half a dozen pounds smaller than Ben Roethlisberger. Like, it's huge. So he's a big guy. He's got a decent arm. The people are going to give him credit as well. Like, okay, the weaknesses we already talked about are some of them. People are going to say that he'll get better at those because he's got that like maniacal, LinkedIn profile sort of psychotic personality. They're going to be like, oh, he'll get himself, like he'll fix it. He'll get dialed in. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not, but it'll be a reason that he's sort of seen as a decent prospect. I think it's fine. Like, I don't think these
definitely helps his case for sure. Yeah. Yep. No, I'm kind of with you. I think like if we're talking about like a Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence draft, then or even Drake May, Caleb Williams, like no, but I would probably have him slightly above Cam Ward compared to last year. And it's not hindsight, but I think that's where he falls right in the middle there. All right, I am up now on the clock, number 2. Now, if I were making this pick for the Jets, I would take our guy Ruben Bain because I think he's the best edge rusher in the class. I think he's going to be the best edge defender from this class when it's all said and done. However, I want to go for accuracy here. I think they're going to end up taking Arvell Reese for better or worse. I think he's got the higher potential, and that's what the Jets see in him. I see him more as just an off-ball linebacker. I'm not sure about you. I wouldn't take Reese second overall. I'm not saying he's going to be a bad player. I just think he's not even the best pure linebacker on his own football team versus Sonny Styles. So thoughts on Styles versus Reese? I do think Reese ultimately will go second, so that's why I'm taking him here. But what are your thoughts? Because I know he's kind of polarizing right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of projection involved, and there is any time you're talking about any of these sort of hybrid players, and we've had a few of them in recent years, that I think it is true to say if you view him just as an off-the-ball linebacker, that's where it starts to get tricky to peg these guys into like 2 overall, 3 overall, because like those guys are still not paid a lot of money, right? And so you're immediately making him like really, really well paid. Whereas if you view him as an edge rusher, like those guys get paid twice the amount. So the kind of the excess you're saving, if you view him as an edge rusher, it's so much bigger, and you can justify taking him higher in the draft. I honestly think he could do either. Like, I think he could do either or both, which is maybe the most important part. Yep. I think he could be a genuine hybrid player. Like, and I don't know that the NFL has tapped into this enough yet, but in this world of like, Nick Emenwari last year, Kyle Hamilton with the Ravens, like we're seeing some of these guys now tapped into as like hybrid secondary, hybrid back 7 players. We haven't, I think, seen yet a team really start seeing if we can turn a front 7 player into a hybrid guy that starts breaking offenses, right? And I think, we've seen teams.
That might be a cyborg built in the lab is what you're describing.
But like a guy that messes up your personnel, right? A guy that screws up your alignment, a guy that you've got to change because suddenly he's an edge rusher when you thought he was an off-the-ball linebacker in the coverage scheme. Suddenly you got to change the protection. Like we haven't, and now in this world of like Brian Flores defensive schemes, Mike McDonald defensive schemes. I feel like we're moving in that direction where if you really wanted to make an Arvell Reese, or even last year, like a Jalen Walker, like a guy that plays this true hybrid role, I think you could turn theoretically this like absolute weapon X up front and really get value, like be more valuable than just an off the ball linebacker and maybe more valuable than an edge rusher as well. I think we could do that. I just don't know if the NFL is ready for it yet.
We'll see. I mean, I think the Jets are going to do it, so we'll find out. I think I would just take Ruben Bain and hope that Arvell Reese becomes Ruben Bain is kind of what I'm seeing. But I'm with you. I think if they can find a way to make it all work in different layers of the defense, then you really justify the pick at 2. Did you know Sonny Styles started as a safety at Ohio State? So he entered college as a safety, and he was so freaking big that they had to move the linebacker. But he still runs like a safety.
Him and like Isaiah Simmons. Like Isaiah Simmons was best playing safety despite being like a 240-pound dude.
Yeah. All right, you are back up now on the clock with Arizona. I've seen a few different picks on here. I'm kind of not sure where they're going to go.
Yeah, I think they could go with one of the best defensive players. Like if they love Ruben Bain, if they love David Bailey, even if they love Sonny Styles, though again, if he's just an off-the-ball linebacker, I think that's harder at number 3. But I think they could definitely take one of the defensive linemen if they love one of those guys. I think the most likely pick, though, is Francis Marianola. Like if they just plug and play right tackle, immediately comes in.
That's who we mocked.
Completes that offensive line. I think that's the most likely pick.
Yeah. You got Paris Johnson on the left. Now you move you got Mauno coming in on the right. I think that's kind of like a high floor raiser for that offensive line. They need to get talent there for sure. All right, I'm back on clock for the Titans. So, okay, last week we let Jeremiah Love fall way too far, so I refuse to let that happen again because he's not going to the Bengals. I'm sorry, Cincinnati fans. I'm one of the Cincinnati fans. He's not coming to the Bengals, so I'm going to take Jeremiah Love at 4th overall for the Titans. I don't know if they ultimately will make that pick, but they certainly have a need there. Jeremiah Love is a special kind of player, so I wouldn't overthink it if that's what they do. I am personally not the biggest fan of drafting running backs that high. I know you've kind of felt that way in the past as well. Kind of what are your thoughts on Jeremiah Love? Is he too good of a can't-miss prospect?
So to me, no matter how good the running back prospect is, right? If you're starting the flow chart of do I draft Jeremiah Love at this position in the draft, the first point on my flow chart is always, is my offensive line good enough that he's able to play as well as he needs to, or
even make it different.
Or do I need him to overcome a bad offensive line? If I don't have the offensive line in place, the answer is immediately no. Don't even move on to the next thing. Don't draft him. Go a different position. Do not pass go. Forget it, right? If the answer is yes, then we can start talking about like position value and how much am I now paying him, relative to other positions and all the other stuff. And I don't think that the Titans can answer yes to that. So, but also, I don't think that I don't know that they would view it that way either, right? So, if it's me, if I were running the Titans right now, I'm looking at my offensive line. I'm like, I can't be sure that the answer to that question is yes. So I can't draft Jeremiah Love here. I got to go in a different direction. I'm taking a defensive lineman. But, the Titans might just look at that and go, Jeremiah Love's the best player in this draft. We're taking him at 4 and hope we have the offensive line good enough to make it work.
And there's no interior line prospects good enough to take at 4th overall unless I've heard Fano might move the guard, but even that is too high to take him, in my opinion. So I'm kind of with you. I would just take one of the edge rushers in Bain or Bailey here and move on and be happy about it. But I kind of feel like it's going to be Love, but we'll see. I'm with you. I'm always starting with the offensive line and then building it out. I just think Bailey or Bain here would be the smart move, but I don't see it happening right now. So, all right, maybe to the Giants though. You're back on the clock.
Just to put a ball on that, like look what happened to Genty last year, right? Like we didn't think the Raiders line was that bad, and it turned out it was worse than everybody thought it was. And Genty looked terrible because he couldn't do anything. Like not because he wasn't good, but because every time he touched the ball, there was a guy meeting him in the backfield.
And Genty had a way better season than Love just had. Love might be a better prospect, but Genty's college numbers were the greatest of all time. So it's like, what are we talking about? Yeah.
If the Titans line looks like the Raiders, then you can't draft him there.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. All right, New York Giants here.
Giants, I think, is a real they're a real pivot point in this draft because obviously new regime coming in terms of John Harbaugh having final say, and they've gone all over the place with the Ravens in recent years. You could make an argument for almost anybody at this spot. They could grab one of the defensive linemen, Bain or Bain or Bailey.
Is he going to get his Kyle Hamilton? Is he going to take his Kyle Hamilton, Caleb Downs here?
That's the thing. Would he value Caleb Downs that much? Does he value off-the-ball linebacker that much with Sonny Styles? They could go almost anywhere.
I actually think Caleb Downs will be the best player at his position from this draft class. And that, it's a safety, so he's going to fall naturally. For whether he should or not is silly, but it's we're going to look in 10 years from now, Caleb Downs will play in multiple Pro Bowls. That's just what I see. But I think he's a difference maker in the back end of the secondary, but I understand teams are probably going to not want to take him at 5th overall.
Yeah, 5th overall is rich even for an elite safety. Now, would I do it? Maybe. But we're definitely getting the stage of the silly season and all this. Caleb Downs gone from, you can't really take him number 5 overall. So I'm seeing is he even the best safety in the draft takes recently? Come on, let's settle down.
Is my Toledo guy going to pass him, McNeil Warren? Yeah, it's I can't say enough. We need the draft to just happen already because we're running out of stuff to talk about. Pretty soon, Garrett Nussmeier is going to be QB1.
Yeah, all the way back. I think the likely one here is actually, I don't know. So I don't know if it's more likely than taking one of the sort of non-premium positions on defense or a Carnell Tate on offense.
Can't go wrong there. With Neighbors coming back from ACL, you never know.
This one's tough. I actually don't know what the most likely thing for the Giants to do. Maybe Sonny Styles is the answer.
I've seen that pick mocked a decent amount, which I was a little I think Sonny is phenomenal. I think he's better than Arvell. I have seen him mocked at 5 to the Giants a couple times.
And he's the old school Giants size linebacker. Not that they care anymore, but they used to have this ridiculously rigid 6'5", 250 type of benchmark for a linebacker.
6'5", 240. Yeah. Perfect.
I forget what the actual number was, but it was they had this literal rigid line that if the linebacker weighed less than that, they weren't even interested.
That's hilarious. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, let's go Sonny Styles.
I like it. I don't see a world where he's not a good pro. That's just kind of where it is. All right. I might go back-to-back Buckeyes here. Now, everyone is going to start with the I'm hearing they're going to take Freeling at 6, but I don't think Freeling's worth the 6th overall pick. What do you think? I mean, but that's probably what it's going to be. I would go Carnell Tate if I'm in charge of the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I mean,
because I think that they had the worst receiving core I've ever seen. They need to get a guy in the room with talent. Tate, right down the street from Columbus, Ohio State, phenomenal athlete, phenomenal receiver. He's my wide receiver too, but I'm aware Tyson's gonna fall lower. So
yeah, basically every mock's got the Browns coming out of the first round with a tackle and a wide receiver. They differ on the order sometimes.
Just whichever order.
And honestly, we've run it both different ways when we've been doing mocks on Check the Mic, and they both tend to work out. I agree with you. I wouldn't take Freeling with 6. I wouldn't even take him as the next tackle. I would give Spencer Fano a chance to play left tackle before I was going to roll with Freeling. But if they did, they can probably come back later on and get the wide receiver. But I think I would take Carnell Tate with 6 and gamble that the right tackle is available either here or even lower down, rather than go the other way. I feel like reaching for Freeling wouldn't be great. I don't know that I would want to take Fano this high, but I just think I think the easier way of doing it is Tate here.
I think the wide receiver first is what I would do as well, which means the Browns will obviously do the opposite of what we just suggested, but we'll see how it works out for them. So, no, I'm with you. I think Tate is the right pick there for the Browns. Again, low moving costs from Columbus, and he instantly becomes their wide receiver 1, which is sad to say. Might be sad to say. Who knows? All right. You are up now. Washington Commanders. You going D-line?
I think they would definitely take one of the defensive linemen between Bain and Bailey. I don't know which one they would take, though, because I think they really would love like a legit pressure, presence on the edge. Bain, I think, is more kind of versatile than that. I think you can move him around the defensive line. You can wreak havoc basically anywhere you line him up. And he does get a ton of pressure, but he isn't that like prototypical speed rush to the outside guy.
Let me ask you a question. Does it matter to you that at all that Bain is coming out of his third year versus Bailey's coming out after his fourth year? Does that extra year of development mean anything to you?
Not with these two specifically. I think sometimes it can be a thing for defensive linemen. I just think, neither one of these guys, I think the extra year is particularly relevant to me. It starts to become interesting when you start talking about guys like Mesidor and Falk.
Who is 26, or Mesidor's turning 20. Yeah.
But these two, I think it's more like, do you covet the extra speed and twitchiness of Bailey versus,
Bailey,
the brute power, and the fact that you can line him up inside. And then do you care about his arm length for Bain?
Yeah. I do not, personally.
Yeah. I don't care, but anytime you're dealing with a thing that's basically unprecedented, you've got to at least, be acknowledging it, and it can't make you feel great. You know what I mean? Like, I love Cassius Howell. No, the fact that he's got basically the shortest arms ever measured can't make you feel good.
Oh, I loved Cassius Howell during the season too. He fell to my second round in my last mock because I was just like, I don't think he's gonna go in the first anymore.
Yeah. I think Bain is the pick. I think even with Bailey's speed, I think they would take Bain.
Go on, Bain. I like it. I would have Bain edge 1, Bailey edge 2, but they're neck and neck. I mean, it's almost like you can't go wrong with either, but it's almost just what you're looking for in terms of like specific pass rush needs. All right, I'm back on the clock now with the Saints. I might go the opposite. I think I'm just going to go David Bailey here and take the one next because I think he's just nearly just as good as Bain. I think he will go below Bain if I had to bet on it. But I think that's a floor raiser for the Saints defensive line that has been struggling over the past few years, and they need a true difference maker and a tone center on the edge. So I think that's.
I think the Chiefs would have loved one of those two guys to be available. They're going to be pretty pissed that they both got sniped from them. I think for them it comes down to a toss up between the next two guys on the board, Caleb Downs or Mansour Delane. Like,
oh man, because they just traded McDuffie, so they could go corner. But I could totally see the Chiefs stealing Caleb Downs, and then he's just an all-pro safety for them for the next 15 years.
Here's the thing. I think this pick with the Chiefs is really interesting because they don't pick in the top 10, right? This team is normally picking like 29 to 32. And so, like, we don't really know how they – like, what do they covet with this rare opportunity to draft in the top 10? Like, what?
And it's looking like Pat may be back sooner than people thought.
Maybe, yeah. But in their eyes, they're going to be like, we don't get this chance to pick here very often. So who do we take?
Yeah, like are they picking this for the future, or are they like, we have Kelsey, Mahomes might be back. We're trying to go back to a Super Bowl this year. Like that's because they're also might be in the mindset of like targeting their next receiving core because they have still not really found a decent group of receivers for Mahomes. No run. Obviously, they just signed Kenneth Walker, so the running back game will be better. But
I think they would pick Caleb Downs here.
Going Downs. I think Bengals would have a nice little pick here if with either of those two guys available. Downs. All right, Caleb Downs, you're chief. I think that'll scare a lot of people because I think if you interviewed like 100. I think if you interviewed people, like a lot of people would say Caleb Downs is like the best overall player at their respective position. It's just the safety, and it's just ultimately what he ends up doing for the Chiefs, and we'll see. Bengals back on the clock. Now, I personally would want to go Mansour Delane here because I think he's phenomenal, and I don't love their corners personally, but it's sad that their corners are actually their biggest strength on defense. So I don't think they will go corner, which the Dolphins are going to be salivating if Delane is still there. So Gosh, I'm not sure. I'm looking. I mean, they could go Thieneman, but Thieneman keeps getting higher, but I almost I don't think I would take him at 10. I keep jokingly saying the Bengals are going to take some D tackle I've never heard of at 10. Um, Funny enough, I wouldn't mind Peter Woods because I actually think he has a solid floor, but I know his tape wasn't great this past. I'm not in on Caleb Banks, but that's also a total Bengals pick, Caleb Banks. All right, I got to go Delane here. I know that's their corners are their best part with DJ Turner, but he's too talented to pass up there for the Bengals, and I'm gonna be mad if they didn't take him there. So I don't think Delane will ultimately go to the Bengals. I could see him even going a pick before, but there's no other picks I like for the Bengals right there other than Peter Woods, but they wouldn't take him at 10. Yeah. So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
That was kind of a tough spot for Cincinnati. I definitely don't love the way that. I mean, normally I think they've been kind of a slam dunk in drafts because somebody like Caleb Downs has slipped to 10, and then it's run it in, or maybe Reuben Bain gets to 10. You're easy.
Oh yeah. I mean, Jeremiah Love last week was there. I was like, Chase Brown's not stopping me from taking Jeremiah Love.
We did that in our mock draft this morning as well. The first time we had Jeremiah Love, which actually doesn't take that much, right? Because the Saints and the Chiefs made their running back moves, right? And everyone was like,
they're not going to take Love.
Everyone was like, well, that means there's no way Jeremiah Love's making it to 7 or 8 or 8 or 9 or whatever. But if he does, it means they're not taking him, and suddenly he's sitting there at 10.
Yeah. So it's funny, Max Chadwick did the mock with me last week, and we kept going, and we kept being like, they're not going to take Love because they just signed Etienne, and it was every pick, and maybe he will fall to the Bengals.
I honestly think he only needs to get by 2 teams. I think there's the one you gave him to, Tennessee, right? Yep. And then, as we said, there's a very good argument that they just shouldn't take him. Now, maybe they will. But then I think it's Washington. I don't think the Giants take him because I think their backfield is too good already. The Browns have bigger problems. They can't take him. So I honestly think if he gets by Tennessee and Washington, I think he makes it to the Bengals.
Man, that would be a home run right there. All right, Delane to the Bengals again. I wouldn't mind the pick. I don't think that's a bad pick. I think he could be better than Dax Hill in the league personally, but I don't think the Bengals will do that because they usually do. They usually draft players I'm not too fond of. We'll just leave it at that. All right, you're up 11. I think the Dolphins are going to be pissed that Delane just went a pick before them because I think they have arguably the worst secondary in the league.
I think they would have loved that. So now you're do you love Jamal McCoy enough to take him at 11 coming off that ACL, or do you pivot to, really they're probably in corner or wide receiver just because that's the worst wide receiver room you've ever seen.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I'm not even sure who's left.
So it's, Jordan Tyson, if you're not concerned about his injury history, Mekhi Lemon, if you think his ceiling is high enough to take him here.
Tyson's my wide receiver 1, and I've been mocking him to the Rams as a total luxury pick because I still think if they draft Jordan Tyson, or 13th, not 12, and he doesn't play a snap for them, they could still win the Super Bowl next season. And it's almost like you just got Adams and Puka training Tyson up. And I know that's not how it works, but to me, that's almost like a steal if you get anything out of Jordan Tyson, because I think if he can stay healthy, I think he's the best of the receivers by far, honestly. But
yeah, I could see Miami taking him. I could, Mekhi Lemon is interesting because he gets comped to Amon-Ra St. Brown all the time. And it's if he is Amon-Ra St. Brown, that's worth the 11th overall pick in any draft. So I could see them doing that. Maybe you could talk yourself into Kenyon Sadiq being worth this pick as well with his freakish athleticism. But I think it's between the wide receiver and the corner. I'm going to give them Mekhi Lemon.
Kai Lemon, yeah. I can see it. I think he goes higher than Tyson. I think ultimately Tate goes first, then Lemon, and I think Tyson goes third. Who knows who's the best in the end? But no, I think that's how it'll go in the draft night. So, all right, I'm up. Cowboys. I keep doing this for Dalton Wasserman. I've been mocking Thieneman to the Cowboys. I keep seeing this a couple times. I know he's a safety. I think he's extremely versatile in the secondary. I keep seeing him rise up draft boards. I'm going Dylan Thieneman to the Cowboys. I think Jerry Jones will love him.
Yeah, I think that's a decent pick, but I think the Dallas Cowboys, I think, are one of the most telegraphed teams in terms of they fill their need. Like they go in with a first round need and they fill that player and then they're good. I think they're taking a corner with that pick.
Yeah, they might. Could be McCoy. Yeah. I saw McCoy mock there too.
I would see them. I think they would take McCoy in that spot. Rams up. So they don't have a need at corner anymore after free agency and trading.
Yeah.
They're another team that this is Atlanta's pick. Like the Rams aren't supposed to be picking here. So this is another team like the Chiefs. It's like, what do they value?
I'm sure Atlanta would love this pick right now.
Yeah. I could see, this is what I'm sure most people do in mocks trading. It's just a nightmare to do. I could see the Rams using this and trying to jump up into the top 10 for somebody.
I was gonna say we can do trades in this. I didn't mention that before, but you're welcome to. Obviously, can't trade up anymore now. But if you want to trade this pick back,
but I could see them doing that. I could see the Rams being like, let's take 13. Let's go up into the top 10 for one of these guys that we're not supposed to have any business. Would the Rams go after a Caleb Downs? Would the Rams go after Reuben Payne?
And it's let's just win the Super Bowl next year. Let's just go win the Super Bowl. Screw them picks.
Right.
I can see that. I mean, they're in the ultimate luxury right now. They have the fewest needs of any team in football.
They genuinely they basically don't need anything. They can whoever they pick, somebody's going to be mad because it's not a need. You're like, yeah, but where is their need?
That's why I'm pushing Tyson. That's why I'm pushing Tyson to them, because even if the medicals are a concern, it might not affect their win-loss record next season.
Yeah, I think.
And if you get Tyson long-term healthy, this guy runs routes like Justin Jefferson. This guy catches passes like Justin Jefferson.
Yes, I don't think it's crazy.
I mean, him and Puka could be dynamic.
I don't think it's crazy. I think they could definitely do that.
No.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's give him Tyson.
Tyson? I like it. All right. Ravens now. Speaking of receivers, I think the Ravens are going to go receiver again. I'm not in love with anyone outside the top three. I like Umar Cooper. He's probably my fourth. I like Concepcion in the slot. I think he's going to be nasty, but this is too high. I mean, their offensive line's not great and not as great anymore. Obviously lost Linderbaum. Tackles are fine. The interior, they have a need at center. So this depends, because last week, Max mocked them Fano with the intention of moving him to guard. Do you think Fano is better suited just staying at left tackle, or do you think a team wants to move him into guard?
I think he could play all 5 positions. I would give him a chance to play left tackle because I think he's good at it. I think he can do it. But you saw at the combine, they were giving him center snaps, right? They were asking him to take snaps and run interior drills. I think he could play any interior spot. If you want to, I think you could take Spencer Fano, move him into center, and that would be fine. Maybe you would argue this is too high for center, but I think he could absolutely do it and be really good doing it.
See, and I feel like the Ravens always nail the draft. They always nail it with making moves that my team, the Bengals, would never think of. And it's they win the draft and then they dominate us on the field. I'm going Spencer Fano here. I don't know if that's a crazy pick. I think they can move him into guard or center, like you said. I think he's the second best offensive lineman in this draft class next to Noah. So I think that's extremely good value for the Ravens. I understand if they want to go wide receiver. I'm not itching for anyone at 14. I think there's a second tier of wide receivers where you get maybe closer to the 20s that I would start taking them. I'm not taking a wide receiver at 14th. I wouldn't be shocked if they do it, but I kind of like that pick with Fano. I think that's good value.
Yeah, I haven't seen that before, but I do like it.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You got Trevor Sigma's Bucks on the clock here. Who are you going to get him?
Yeah, so I think Sadiq to the Bucks would be pretty interesting. Like, obviously they brought back Cade Otton, but Sadiq brings something different. I don't know that, like, he's a good blocker. He's an unusual tight end because usually these move guys, they're great against zone. They've got a good feel for just finding space and, you know, settling into gaps and stuff. Sadiq's like just straight ahead blazer. Like, he's more like, you know, Evan Ingram and like those just straight ahead runners. He's an athlete. He's going to outrun you.
I think I mocked the Broncos Sadiq earlier in the year, and then they trade the pick. So which he's not going to be falling to them in the second round anyway. But that was kind of when Sadiq's was a little lower on the board. I mocked him to the Broncos at like 20 or 30, whatever. But no, he keeps rising. What do you think? So I'm more of an Eli Stowers guy at the tight end because I kind of waited and watched. I watched all 3 of Sadiq's seasons and kind of kept waiting for more out of him. I don't know if that's unfair to say. I know he's a much better blocker than Stowers is and has the better physical tools, but Stowers is the better athlete and the better pass catcher and the production was better. But I've also seen people just saying he's a wide receiver and not a tight end. So that's kind of a thought as well.
Well, that's the thing. Like Stowers, you know, you get these tight ends sometimes and it's like, well, his blocking's not great. Like Stowers' blocking is genuinely terrible. Like he might have to be a wide receiver just because I don't think you can even ask him to make some of these blocks. Whereas Sadiq, I think, is a good blocker. Like he doesn't have the size that some of these blocking tight ends do, but I think you can line him up anywhere and ask him to make the blocks. Like you don't want him on the line attached to the line of scrimmage, like digging out a three or a.
He's not Darnell Washington.
Yeah, like you don't want him doing those, but he can. Like it's not a reason he can't be on the field, right? You're not saying he can't make those blocks. So if we're just running with like 11 personnel, he can't be the tight end. He can be on the field for any personnel set you want, but then you want to free him up so that you can just run by, you know, a coverage player and go down the seam for 30 yards. So he's an unusual tight end, but I do like him.
You going Sadiq here?
Yeah, let's do it.
Nice. I have not seen him as high as 15th, so we'll see. That I wouldn't be shocked if that was a pick. They could definitely use him there. But that's the highest I've seen Sadiq so far. All right, New York Jets, I'm on the clock. We're not going Ty Simpson because I don't think the Jets should take a quarterback. I think they're at least another year away. I would wait till next class. We always say next year's class is better, and then we're going to do this again next year, and I'm sure all the quarterbacks will fall by then. We'll be back to square one. Yeah. So I'm going to look at wide receivers here. Again, I'm a little bummed that the tier 1 of my wide receivers, the top 3 guys, aren't here because I would love if Lemon was still available. I think he's the perfect fit for the Jets offense to counter Garrett Wilson. Could we go Omar Cooper Jr.?
Oh.
This is the highest I would have him mocked, but I love this guy, man. He is a freak athlete. I've seen you tweet out about him a couple of times, actually, so I know you're in on Cooper. The catches this guy makes are ridiculous. I mean, we don't need to even talk about the main one that everybody knows at the end of the Penn State game, but just a stud athlete. Again, 87 receiving grade for PFF. The production was there. We saw it in the national championship. I think this guy's going to keep rising up draft boards. 16 might be a little high for him, but the Jets desperately need receivers. The only one I can even name is Garrett Wilson right now.
Yeah. No, I think he'd be a great compliment to him as well. Best run after the catch guy in this draft. Like, it's a good pick.
Yep. I like it. All right, Lions. Who you doing for my Lions?
I think they've got to take a tackle at this point.
Got to go O-line, right?
And honestly, it's probably, as much as I think Monroe Freeling is a bit, like he's a reach at 6. I think he's a bit of a projection, but I think at 17, it's good value. And I think the Lions would have to start him right away and just hope he plays well enough year 1 to get away with it.
So where do you stand on Penei switching to left tackle versus staying at right? Because I know that's a topic people always debate, but it's like he was the left tackle in college, was amazing, best left tackle in college, and now he's the best right tackle in the NFL. Yeah. So it's like, not mess with that. But I've heard out of Lions camp that's a factor they're thinking of going into this draft.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could. Like, I think Sewell could do it, right? Like they did it. I know they did it right at the start of his career because they had to, and it didn't go well, and then they moved him back and blah, blah. I think he's developed into like an elite caliber offensive tackle. I think you could probably move him to the left side and he'll be fine. But if you don't have to, why would you mess with it? Like I wouldn't be planning to do that if I didn't have to. If there was a guy out there, like a really top tier right tackle that's like, okay, we can bring this guy in and then we can move Penei Sewell, sure. But I don't see who that name is, right? Like maybe if Maui Noah.
If Francis Mauigoa falls to them at 18 or 17, then maybe.
So that's the thing. Like if somebody like Maui Noah fell in the draft, right? And suddenly the Lions are like, well, let's take Maui Noah, and then maybe the best combination is Sewell on the left, Maui Noah on the right. Okay, that's a conversation worth having. But until you get to that point, like I'm not thinking Sewell's the left tackle and then we're only looking for a right tackle. I'm just like, we need a tackle, and then let's figure out what the best combo is.
Yeah, and you don't want to hamstring yourself down to like that because it's like you want to keep the options and the versatility.
Yeah.
I think Freeling would be the pick. I think you're right. I agree with you. At 6, he's too high for me, but I think at 17, the Lions would take. You want to take it?
Let's do it.
All right, cool. All right, pick 18, Minnesota Vikings. I've mocked this guy a couple times. This is my Toledo Rocket. They need a Harrison Smith replacement, back end safety. Manuel McNeil-Warren from the Toledo Rockets, the third ever Rocket drafted in the first round. So, pretty excited about that. Another Mac star. Again, I Vikings just need a lot of talent, all the talent they can get in their secondary at the safety position. So, I think that's one where if Thienemann's on the clock, they'll go Thienemann. If Thienemann's not there, I think they'd go McNeil-Warren. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't overlook corner for them as well. I think they could take a corner at that spot.
I forgot McCoy's still sitting there. They probably would go McCoy. McCoy's damn good. I forgot he's still sitting there at 17. Someone, the Cowboys coming back up. There you go. All right, Carolina.
Carolina have actually done a pretty good job now. That roster's in good shape. They would love a tight end, but Sadiq's already gone. I don't know if they would even take one in the first round, but that's their biggest need. Outside of tight end, everything's in pretty good shape. So here's a question,
because and didn't Ike Mekwonu get hurt in the last game?
Yeah.
Like, he might miss some time.
So Ike Mekwonu, he got hurt. He's probably going to miss some time for them, but they did sign a stopgap left tackle to be able to get through the year and be okay. So I don't think,
because when I saw that injury, I was a little worried, and I just wasn't sure if that was going to affect their offseason plans.
No, I think it is. Like, I think they definitely were like, we absolutely need a left tackle for this season. Yeah. And then who knows whether Ike Mekwonu is going to come back 100% healthy or not. But I don't think it necessarily takes him out of the tackle market because, Mekwonu might not be the guy long-term now. Like, I don't think they need a tackle to start day one anymore, but I think they might take a tackle to start, in the future. Like, they signed Rasheed Walker to that 1 year, $4 million deal or whatever it was, like a bargain contract. So they're good for this year.
I did a two-round mock a couple weeks ago, and we ended up with Markel Bell from Miami, the left tackle, who's like 6'9", to the Panthers in round 2. And our only question was if Bryce Young's going to be able to see over. That was the only worry about it, because he's like one of the tallest ever measured offensive linemen, and he's just an absolute freak athlete. But again, that's way too high to take him at 19. But I'm with you on day 2 for sure.
Do you think that McCoy how do you think he would do in the slot? Because cornerback 3, I think, is interesting for them, but I think they would love a guy that can play the slot.
I think McCoy is better out wide, personally. I think he's stronger and more built to take on the out wide receivers versus slot guys. That's me personally. And I thought McCoy's tape in 2024 was better than Delane's tape in 2025. But again, I'm aware of the injury concern and not playing over a year. Like, Delane is CB1 for this class. If McCoy didn't miss this season, I think he probably would be CB1. But you can't pretend like the ACL didn't happen. And I definitely think teams are going to factor that in.
I don't think they would take Ioane necessarily. I doubt they're taking McCoy for that reason. They're probably not signing or taking any of the edge rushers, Mesidor, Falk, because they signed Jalen Phillips. Same thing with like a linebacker. They already they went big in free agency.
I could see another just a pass catcher, whether tight end, receiver. Like, I could see a pass catcher for Bryce Young. I know Jalen Coker came on strong. We all know Tet is amazing, and but Leggett has not come into his own in the wide receiver 3 position. So I've seen some wide receivers mock to them. I wouldn't hate loading up on that offense for BY.
Concepcion would be like a massive upgrade over Jimmy Horn Jr., like in the same role.
In the slot, yeah.
I like that. Let's do that, Concepcion.
I love Concepcion. I don't know if you'll find a bigger fan. This dude, going back to – so I remember him all the way back to NC State a couple seasons ago, and he was just popping off the screen in a horrendous offense of NC State, but he was just making plays left and right. So, all right, well, Cowboys are back on the clock. We know who this would be. Probably flip-flop these, honestly. Like, McCoy would probably go 12th, and Thieneman would more likely go 20th. But, that's a luxury pick for the Cowboys. That, like you said, they probably wouldn't overthink that and just sprint the card in if McCoy's sitting there at 20. Like I said, if he played this past season, I might have him as my CB1 over Mansour Delane. But Delane was fantastic. I mean, even the first Clemson game of the season, I think he was like, I was still writing PFF's Team of the Week. He was like corner of the week, defensive player of the week, picked off Klubnik to seal the game. So, yeah. I think each of those corners are fantastic. I do ultimately think Delane will go higher because of the ACL. I don't think McCoy will fall to 20th. Yeah. That would probably be a big surprise.
Perfect, Dallas.
All right, Steelers. Yeah, right.
I could see the Steelers definitely going offensive line. Like, at some point, Ioane just becomes really good value for them. I don't know if they would do it here or if they would try.
Low-key left guard is like their only area.
I think
Spencer
they could use
Anderson,
tackle as well. Like, I think they would want to get Broderick Jones out of that lineup at left tackle, keep him out of it. So
he's not developed. Yeah. He's not stopping me from taking a tackle. I'm not forcing quarterback here. No. I'm like, everyone wants to draft Kenny Pickett again, but I don't know.
So I don't know if they would reach for a Blake Miller or take a Caden Proctor from Alabama, Ihanicher, Arizona State.
I like Proctor, man. I think Proctor has Dancing Bear. Like, obviously, like, Penei Sewell is like the best possible ceiling version of him. He's not going to be Penei Sewell, but like, I think Proctor is going to be amazing. Like, if I were the Lions, I would take Proctor over Freeling because I think the data suggests Proctor is going to keep developing better, has better physical tools. Freeling scares me a little more, but I think it's more likely that they would take Freeling. And that's all I'm seeing on draft boards. Yeah. So, but Proctor's fun, man. His footwork is great. He's 6'7", 360. If he can get down to like 350, I think that could be an all-pro left tackle someday. But he's got a long ways to go. Long ways to go for sure.
I think the Steelers would take Ioane and ruin the Chargers' day.
No, literally, I did that to Max last week. I took Ioane and he was pissed because, John Harbaugh's probably been waiting for Ioane since they got locked into the 22nd pick. So, all right, now, who am I going to take now? Who is the most John Harbaugh player I can think
Jim
of?
Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh, right. I still think they'll go offensive or defensive line. That's my thing for the Chargers. I'm pulling up the depth chart.
They can definitely use edge rushers. Either one of those, Falk, Mesidor, have started to become really good value here.
So Keldrick Falk scares me because I just think he's fully a project at this point, and I don't know if I'm seeing it. which it's funny, him and Mesidor are probably the opposite ends of the spectrum because one is going to be 25 on draft night, played 6 years, had the production. We saw how good he was in the championship and the whole playoff run, really, against the best offensive lines. That's why I'm taking Mesidor. You got to watch the games. If I wouldn't be doing myself justice by saying the games actually matter in college, which I know some people don't always think that. So I gotta go Akeem Mesidor right there. He is plug and play. This guy is pro ready day one. Again, 25 on draft night, 92 PFF grade. Again, 13 sacks. We saw what they did to Ohio State's offensive line. So there we go. And Indiana's, which was even better. So,
yeah, he's a really good player.
Oh, look, Georgia Bulldog on the clock with the Philadelphia Eagles.
That's true. I think they would take, number one, we've been doing this all the time just because it's funny that every time one of Falk or Mesidor gets drafted, the other one's going to get drafted right next to each other. So we always have that
right next,
20-year-old versus 25-year-old thing. I honestly think, though, the Eagles could take Keldrick Falk because they don't need him to be the complete player
they
right
know
now.
How to develop
they can get him snaps. They can get him in the rotation, and then they can develop him and still have him like useful contributor and rundowns. I think they could do that.
Yeah, no, we'll be watching these two's careers throughout. Maybe in 5 years, Falk could have Mesidor's same experience. So, all right, I'm back now, Browns. So, okay, we talked about Cardinal Tate. They got to come out of here with a tackle. Easy pick to me. It's okay. Well, Caden Proctor still. That's my guy. I feel like it would be Blake Miller. I guess it doesn't matter for them left or right because they need help everywhere. Do you think they would prioritize one side or the other? I guess.
Well, yeah,
because DeJuan Jones isn't stopping me from taking a left tackle.
No, it's tough to know what they made a lot of moves in free agency because they had to, right? They went in with literally the entire offensive line basically being a free agent. So they needed to throw a lot at it. And they did. I don't love a lot of the moves that they made, and it's tough to know if they did or if that was just like the best we could do at the time, you know? So I don't know. I honestly don't know that basically anybody on that offensive line is untouchable. Like Zion Johnson got the best contract, I guess, of any of them. So he's probably the closest thing they have. But I honestly think any of the spots are kind of up for grabs if they find the right player.
Yeah. All right. I'm taking the tackle I believe in most here. I feel like they would go Blake Miller over Caden Proctor, but I think Proctor has the way higher ceiling and had an 86 pass blocking grade for PFF this year. He put up numbers. He developed and improved every single season at Bama. He was rough his freshman year. If you go back and watch his footwork freshman year compared to now, it's like night and day. So I'm believing in the continued development and the athleticism that Proctor possesses. I could see him falling out of the first round. But, man, if you can get him right and if he develops, that's a bodyguard right there. So, all right, moving on. 25. This is a pick. So, I have a pick in mind for the Bears here. I want to see if you do it. But
I think they'd go D-line. I think they would want that, somebody up front. I think they might grab Peter Woods here.
Okay, yep. I was either going to go Caden McDonald, but Peter Woods right there, definitely a D tackle. Those are my top two. I would go either of those over Caleb Banks for sure. I've been mocking them Caden McDonald, but I think Peter Woods is just as good of a pick. The Clemson defensive players were not as bad as the season suggests. I know that's probably sounds weird to say, but that team gave up on each other. That team quit. I know you're probably don't watch as much college football as I do during the season, but they came into the season preseason fourth overall and just had they were 1-3 by week 4. So take all that tape, watch that tape with a grain of salt because Peter Woods was not part of their problems on defense. He had nothing to do with the reason they really struggled this year. So the offense was horrible. So, all right. 26, Buffalo Bills. So they just traded for DJ Moore. So not going to go receiver. I could see them going edge as well or somewhere on the D line. I mean, I know they got Rousseau. Bosa's not, it's up in the air, right? He's not nor is he really a difference maker at this stage. I think. I mean, like I just said, is Caden McDonald here? I think like they could use him on the back-to-back. I know it's like – trying to think. You know what? I don't love their linebackers. I think C.J. Allen I like this linebacking class. I'm going C.J. Allen. I haven't seen that picked to them, but I think that's good value for them. And I'm not a fan of the Buffalo Bills linebacking core, so C.J. Allen.
I like that.
Here's a team who's got to load up on the D-line as well, right? They need warm bodies.
Yeah, it's interesting because they got a lot of young guys, though. So it's like how much, do they leave in them going
Alfred
forward?
Collins and C.J. West were two guys I really liked last year, too. And it's like I don't want to give up on them, but we got to see a much improved.
Yeah, like Michael Williams, they've got at least 3 young guys on that defensive line, plus Nick Bosa coming back. It's like how much do they actually think those guys are going to be good after 1 year?
Yeah.
I could also see them attacking the offensive line. Like, how close do you think Emmanuel Pregnon is, the Oregon guard from the first round?
I could see him going. Max took him at the back end here. I forget which exact pick. I think he took him to the Texans, but no, I could absolutely see that. This class is short on guards and just interior linemen in general. I mean, we got Fano. The best guard might be a tackle, so that's how it's going. I easily see Pregnon raising up. I mean, the numbers are phenomenal, so I don't hate that pick.
I could see him going there. I don't know. I think they would go one of the trenches, whether it's offensive line or defensive line. So I could see them doing that.
Okay, you're going Pregnon? All right, there we go. So I think Houston still needs to work on their line, too. I mean, that line is atrocious right now, and they just – didn't they just get rid of someone else?
Traded away Titus Howard.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. Who was? I mean, that's not a huge loss, but still a starter. So I definitely think the Texans should attack the O-line here, but I probably would have gone Pregnon. Gosh, I mean, Caden McDonald is so good. Like, I feel like Caden McDonald's not a sexy pick, but he's going to be a very good pro, and he's an elite run defender. So I know the Texans defense is already nails, but all they got is Mario Edwards, right? Who's getting old. And gosh, I'm looking at the Trent Brown is obviously right tackle. Ursray is still, they're not going to give up on him. I mean, I'm going Caden McDonald. I don't really love this pick here, but I don't want to force an offensive lineman to the Texans.
I think he can make a real difference for them. Like, if he could get push up the middle as well, that's just going to turbocharge the Donnell Hunter, Will Anderson production.
An already loaded defensive line. Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that McDonald's going first round. I think he's good enough to go first round. I think he has to go first round. So I want to get him in here somewhere. Because I think he's arguably the best run defender in the class. So 91.2 grade. Again, he's not going to put up sack totals. He's not going to put up crazy amounts of, tackle numbers, pressure numbers, which will probably make people think he's less valuable, but floor raiser on that D-line. I think he does plug a hole for sure. Chiefs back on the clock. So you took Caleb Downs. Mm-hmm. Man, this could be a pretty sick first round for Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, I think they would look at the edge rushers, but I think they would take Avion Terrell.
That pick's staring me in the face. I mean, he's so good, man. Younger brother of AJ. After McDuffie leaves like that, I think that's absolutely the pick. Taking a corner. If the Chiefs come out with Avion Terrell and Caleb Downs, that's just unfair. So, yeah. All right. Speaking of corners, we're going to look at some corners now because – and there we go, Cole Nutt. Cole Nutt's my guy. He retweeted me on Twitter. So we're going to take him first round only for that reason. No, I'm just kidding. No. I do think this is a little high for Cole Nutt, but I think he's an exceptional talent. Phenomenal speed, man. This guy can absolutely fly out there. I don't know if he ultimately will go in the first round, but the Dolphins have to get a corner out of this. they need to come out of the first round with a wide receiver and a corner some way or another, whatever order you want. But I'm not mad about Colton Love at 30th overall because I think the guy's extremely talented and extremely fast. All right, Patriots. My Drake May, you know my guy. Are you gonna help him win a Super Bowl, or what? Or is he gonna regress?
Yeah, I mean, I think they could go. I think they're in a good spot. They could go in a bunch of different places here. I think they would kick around the idea of one of the edge rushers, T.J. Parker, even Cassius Howell. I don't know what Mike Vrabel's opinion is on short-arm guys.
I'm Cassius Howell. Yeah, which I know that's like the I think Parker will go above Howell because the arms, like the second shortest arms ever. And then wasn't the next guy is also in this class, Caden Curry. He like him and Howell had the two shortest arms ever, and they were both in this draft class. I thought that was interesting.
Hauser, like it's such an outlier. I mean, they're so much shorter than basically anybody that's ever been good. It's nuts. But he's so good.
And Howell, I don't know if you watched him during the season, like Howell was fantastic. So he like led the nation in sacks. I mean, so that's why to me, as a college football like enthusiast, I'm always like, are we kind of overthinking this guy a little bit? But then you see the outlier, and that's like, gee, that's a pretty big outlier. like man.
It's so far away from even like he's like 2 inches below the threshold number that people are looking for.
Like, right.
I could also, I believe them when they say that they're going to keep Will Campbell at tackle and give him another shot. He was okay this year. I don't think he was as bad as he looked in the Super Bowl.
No, against the best defense, I think it's always recency bias.
What about the video though of Vrabel and Ihanicher working out?
Oh yeah, Vrabel was taking some shots. I was kind of like, man, is he okay? Like, I would get thrown on my ass within 2 seconds.
So maybe Max is going to be his guy.
Maybe they were training. Maybe that video is maybe that video is real.
He got what he needed to see.
I like it. That was Sam Levitt's bodyguard, my other favorite quarterback. So now he'll be Drake May's bodyguard. There we go. All right. Seattle Seahawks. Now, I don't know what they're going to do at running back. However, there are not any running backs good enough to warrant taking at pick 32. It's kind of a luxury pick. I mean, again, they just want a Super Bowl. So it's like, it's hard to talk about their needs. Because, like, obviously you can get better across the board. You can always get better. I think T.J. Parker is going to go in the first round. So that's why I'm just going to drop him in here. I know they have an elite defensive line already. But, again, this is almost like they don't have a need. This is just good value. I think T.J. Parker will end up in the first round. So that's why I'm taking him there. And there we go. Look at that.
I like it.
First round. Let's look back. What favorite fit from this, and then most questionable fit?
Favorite fit. I do love Caleb Downs going to the Chiefs. I think him and Spags defense would be pretty fun.
It'd be disgusting, yeah.
I also really like the Spencer Fano, the Baltimore pick.
I think Max got me into that last week, so I think I might keep that going. I might keep that take going if they are switching him to guard, because that is definitely a need for the Ravens. So I didn't want to force a receiver, but no, I kind of like it too. All right, that's kind of all we got. Sam, any closing statements? Where can we watch your show at? Check the Mic with Steve.
Yeah, check the Mic either on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hell yeah, good stuff. Last closing statements. Do you have what's your boldest prediction for what's going to happen on draft night in the first round? Like, do you have a bold prediction whether a guy flies into the first round or completely falls out, like a Will Levis situation, or?
Yeah, let me think. Who would be somebody crazy that would just drop out of the first round completely?
Yeah, like, is a story going to come out on draft night and it's just like, oh no, we can't do it?
No, I don't even think it's that. But like, remember,
and I'm not like off-field problems. Like,
yeah, but like, remember, Will Johnson, everyone's like cast iron, first round guy, and then just falls completely out of it second round. Nobody ever bats an eyelid again. Like, somebody that we're talking about that's getting mocked in the first round every single time is going to drop into the second, and nobody's going to, it's not going to be a thing.
I swear, it's like teams forget about that player. Like they go through the draft, they go through their board, and they just sort of like they didn't think he would still be there. So it's almost like he's not even on the board.
Like, who would that be in this draft? I think Mesidor is too good for that to be the case.
I think I think a team who's ready to win a Super Bowl next year, if Mesidor is there for the Bears, that would be like I'm taking Mesidor because I think the Bears just need to keep cycling in talent on that defensive line. I think the Bears could win a Super Bowl next year. I've been saying that a couple episodes that I think Caleb is like. I have a narrative here. Jaden Daniels was the second pick, got to the NFC title game, failed. Drake May, third pick, got to the Super Bowl, failed. Is Caleb number one pick? Is he going to stamp the number one pick next year with a Super Bowl champion?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's such a fascinating class because we're like 3 years in basically now, and 3 different guys have been the number one QB in that draft class.
Right. Yeah, we've already gone through them all. And then Bo Nix is sitting there, and it's like, He's pretty good. Like, we have a number one seed. Like, what about him? So, yeah. No, I'm with you. That might be like an all-time historic QB class, which is kind of shaping up to next year's class, but I'm sure by this time next year, they'll all be second-round picks. So, all right, Sam. Appreciate you coming on to the Point After with Mitch Kaiser. We will I'll probably get you back on maybe after draft season or right before the draft. I know we got a month to go. We're running out of stuff to talk about, so we need the draft to happen already.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to the Point After with Mitch Kaiser. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe below, and have a great rest of your day.